Amateur Hour. We'd like to call it your primer for college baseball, but we're not going to because we focus on two athletes. Now, this show's going to get wide, and you're going to touch a lot of, both sides of college baseball. But really, the goal is to learn about these athletes, the men that have brought themselves to this point. And we found a theme on these last couple of shows where we're finding athletes that have taken a pretty good high school journey and turned it into something special. We've got one of those. We've got another one who's lived with massive expectations all through high school. Daddy played, was great in another country. So this is kind of a mix of our, you're supposed to be good and our overachievers. Let's start with our overachiever, because when you look at Tre Morgan, he's played himself, the LSU first baseman, into the number 24 spot in the draft 300. And by the way, I need to introduce who we are. The producer and the lead host of this podcast is Dani Wexelman, and I'm Daron. And thanks for hanging out with us. It doesn't happen without Dani producing it. But Tre goes from where he comes out of high school, which was a nice player. He played well at Jupiter. He did some good things. Wasn't really highly ranked. As a matter of fact, ranked, 220? Is that right? Ranked about 220, somewhere in that. Now he's number 24 in the draft 300. That means he gets picked by the Braves. That means the Braves are picking him. I loved our conversation, Dani. I love how much pride he takes in playing first base. Such an overlooked position. Typical of free safety, a football player free safety who just gobbled everything up defensively. He does the same thing, and he's a hell of a hitter, too.
Tre Morgan. So the name speaks for itself. He is the third, and he's proud of that. We learn a lot about his dad's influence, his mom's influence, and the job that she has every day is one that we don't talk about a lot. We don't know a lot about. And I've never met anybody who has a job like that. And we know that it's influenced who he is as a person. But mom's always been there. Mom's been right by his side through the baseball journey. But it was dad, when Tre was younger, who saw him pick something up with his left hand and said, "You're going to be a baseball player. And not only that, you're going to be a first baseman." And the work that they put in is meticulous, is at a level where if you want to be a pro baseball player, that's what you have to do. When you are a young kid learning to play a position and putting that kind of time in, it's really wild to think about, but it's gotten him to where he is, because when you watch Tre play first base, he is on a different planet. He plays that position differently. He watches his fielders differently, and the way he takes in information and then uses that for himself is something that we could all take a page out of. And I think that what he does for the college game is awesome. He's got a great personality. He's got his NIL deals, right? And he's got his blonde hair and his chains, and he's proud of who he is. But I love this dude because I think we overlook first base all the time, and he's made first base cool, and I love that.
He played in Jupiter. His travel ball, he played in the World Wood Bat Association World Championship in 2019 for the Breakthrough Series team. Chase Davis, who's at Arizona, who has been on this podcast, who's a high draft pick. Braden Montgomery, who's at Stanford, was on his team. And Ian Mahler, who plays for the Rangers organization now, a great catcher. That's a fun team. So at that Jupiter event, he had 6 hits. He had a 444 on base. At that same Jupiter event, 2019, Yohandy Morales played, and he had a 455 on base. So they were playing in the same event, playing travel ball, going to the greatest travel ball event. Now, Yohandy's a little bit different in a sense. He was a perfect game All-American, grand expectations, and so he's had to deal with that. His dad, Andy, played professionally in Cuba, was a heck of a player, and it's that father-son relationship where Dad was just tough on him in all the right ways, and he still shared in our conversation. When I talk to Dad after games, he just lets me know what I did wrong, and that's it. And he pauses and he says, "And I wouldn't have it any other way." That it's that kind of give and take between a father and a son, or a mother and a son. But in this case, he's speaking of his dad and going to the workouts with his dad. It's just a really cool relationship. And this is a guy, Morales, who has come out of that freshman All-American, come out of that 2020 weird COVID draft, and he's been really good. I mean, really, he had a stretch last year for 2 weeks where he got on base 19 times in 30 at-bats. He's going high in the draft as well.
The best is that you bring that up, and his goldfish mind right? The flush it out quickly, good or bad. He's like, I don't even remember that. And so you broke it down a little bit, which I loved. And it's cool when you get to go back to a kid who's a 2019 All-American who goes to school. They had the shortened draft, and whether it was something he wanted to do or he didn't get the opportunity to get drafted, whatever it was, he's on campus. He committed. He's loyal. He's at that program. And he likes to talk a lot about what that program has done for him and the people who have been there for him, like the inner circle people, day one people who are so important to the journey. And I look at him, and we do this on camera, even though it's also an audio podcast. It's not the same kid at all from 2019. He's grown as a person. He talks about that. He's grown weight-wise, added so much muscle and good kind of weight to himself. He doesn't even look the same, and it's just really cool to know that this kid went to college and he bettered himself in every aspect of his game, and he added to his draft stock. And now the dude, I mean, you think of Miami and you think of Yo-Yo Morales. How cool is that?
Yeah, he's earned that. He definitely has earned that at Miami. Go deep diving and scouring through his social media, and you'll find a random picture of he and Mark Anthony. For all you kids out there wondering who Mark Anthony is, go look up Mark Anthony as well. So also on this amazing podcast, we're going to take a little bit of Perfect Game College Baseball. It's our weekly streaming show from Perfect Game TV. Hunter Pence hosts that show. Brett Dolan, one of our great voices, stepped in and co-hosted it with Hunter Pence. So you'll hear Hunter talk with Kirk Saarloos, and he'll talk TCU baseball, and so we'll have a little bit of that. We'll also dip into the scouting notebooks of Vinny Servino, Brian Sagowski, one of the two. They'll duel for who jumps onto this show, and they'll be really good because what they'll talk about is college baseball, individual stars going into the season, and then teams we should look at. We're going to kind of sprinkle those previews over the next couple of podcasts. We're coming at you hard. We've got a bunch of great interviews that we're putting in the can. That's our show. Let's get it going. Amateur Hour. You found, probably the best podcast in the world. So I'm going to start this with Tre Morgan with numbers. Baseball is a stats thing. So the first number is 24. When I looked at the most recent PG Draft 300, he's 24th. That means if it's exactly right and 100% on, he gets picked by the Atlanta Braves. We know that's always not exactly right. You never know. Higher, and I'm sure right there on that first night. The other number is 3. He's Tre. He's the third. So there's John Edward Morgan. He's the third. There's John Edward Morgan, who is the second. And then, obviously, there's the OG. There's the original John Edward Morgan. Tre, give me your best description of the first two John Edward Morgans that came before you.
Well, my dad's dad, I don't have many memories of him. Like, there's some pictures of him holding me. He was a big guy, but I don't really remember talking to him or anything like that. The person who really got me where I am today is my dad, John Morgan Jr. He's taught me everything I know from the game of life to the game of baseball, and I appreciate him for that. It's actually his birthday today, so happy birthday to my dad. I gave him a little text, give him a little shout out on here, but yeah.
That's a good answer. That's a wonderful answer. Then there's that 24. Do you ever pause, think about it, if only to celebrate hard work, and if only to celebrate for just a moment that you're getting closer to some of your dreams, I'm guessing. But when you see what is nothing more than an internet page with a number on it, a name on a mock draft, but you're on it, what does that mean?
I mean, of course, I look at it. It's there. It's there to see. I'd be lying if I said I didn't look at it. But I look at it more of motivation. It shows me that, yeah, it's been a long road. Yeah, I'm getting noticed finally for the right reasons, of course. But the job's not done. There's 23 more spots that, of course, every player wants to climb up, me included. So I look at that number and I see, like I said, the job's not done. There's more work to do.
Yeah, I mean, some of those things that get you noticed, Tre, the glove. You know, if I could give you a nickname, I think I'd call you Vacuum. And what you do for your team is unbelievable. And I know you and I talked last year at SEC tournament and had a conversation about how you got to that point, because it's not that you're just a good first baseman. Like, you're an incredible first baseman, and the picks that you make from your teammates, I think sometimes people probably look at and wonder how you did it, but you shared that all this started back when you were 6 years old. Is that right? Yeah, 6 years old with your dad. Can you share what you and your dad worked on together starting so long ago?
Right, of course. I mean, I've been playing first base ever since I started playing baseball. And that was big because when you think about, like your coach pitch tournaments and everything, everybody's hitting ground balls, but you got to throw the ball to first base to get the out, sort of thing, or they score 100 runs a game, sort of thing. So that's why my dad felt like it was important for me to play first base, because he said a little stat. I don't know how true this stat was, but it was 85% of the balls go to first base at some point in the game. So he said your first baseman should be the best fielder, other than the shortstop on the field. So that's kind of how we taught it. That's how he taught it. That's how we worked on it. I wasn't just going to play first base just because I was left-handed. Like, if I'm going to play first base, I'm going to be really good at it. I'm going to be a game changer at that position, and that's kind of the way we did it.
Yeah, and you shared that, once you used your left hand, Dad said baseball. There we go. Kid's gonna be
instant. As soon as I picked something up, I don't know. I might have been right-handed, but we don't know, because I picked something up with my left hand by accident one day, and I'm left-handed.
There's another guy too who's helped you, and that is someone who I think we could call a guru, and that's Ron Washington. And you've met him through various different platforms, the Breakthrough Series, which Daron and I love. I love that team. I love everything that Major League Baseball does to grow the game. To be able to work with Wash, what does that mean to you?
I mean, the drills and everything he taught me, I still use them to this day. Before every practice game, I get on my knees and do my little picks. But I'd say one of the most important things that he told me that kind of stuck with me, I wasn't really as good as I thought I was at the whole fielding thing at first base. And he's kind of like a straightforward guy, and he told me how it was, and the way, like, we started doing drills and everything, and dude, I was booting balls around, and I was like, what's going on? Like, he told me, he was like, I told you, like, you got some work to do, sort of thing. And that kind of stuck with me. And that's kind of why I still do those drills to this day, to get better, to get to that level.
Love that.
Defensively, what is one thing that you feel like you've conquered over the last couple of years? That when you watch other first basemen play, and it's not that, hey, I think I'm better than them, or I, am a first baseman whisperer. But that being said, you watch and you think, I'm above that. Like, I don't struggle with that. What's one of the biggest hurdles you've overcome that really you feel like separates you defensively?
I'd say it's my range at first base. Like, when you come up and you're in a right-handed hitter's up and you're in a right-handed shift, there's a big hole between the 3-4 hole. But when I'm there, when I'm like set up in that position, that hole's, I feel like, it's non-existent. And then when you're in a left-handed shift and a lefty whose only job is to go up there and just pull the ball as hard as he can, if he can hook it down the first base line and gets a triple, now it's a 3 unassisted, sort of thing. And that's really what I pride myself on. Like, the hits that are considered easy hits or giveaway hits, I don't let those get by me.
It's such a beautiful position. I called games in the big leagues with the Gold Glove first baseman. You can see it. You can see it at every level. You get the erratic, youthful third baseman that trusts you, and you make him better. That's got to make you feel better that no matter who gets the opportunity this year, and you guys are pretty stacked, you kind of know who's there, but if there is someone that's younger that maybe helps out for a couple of games, midweek game, you're over there at first, that's got to make them feel better to know, I'll get it close, and close means it's an out, and that's got to mean a lot to you.
Definitely. I mean, and it's just building that relationship in practice. Most of it. It's not showing up to practice like, oh, it's another practice day sort of thing. It's like, no, especially because we have new guys or we're trying to build confidence in other guys. Like, I have to show up every day at practice and show them that, no, like, if you get the ball over here, if you have to dive and make a throw from your knees, you don't have to double clutch it. Like, just let it go anywhere near the vicinity. I got it, sort of thing.
That's incredible. It's incredible. I wanna ask you one more to follow up. You had, like everybody else, you were a COVID senior, so you had no matter what happened in New Orleans and in Louisiana, you lost something, part of something. And your first, 14 games in college, you know, not at a tiny little school that doesn't play anyone. Your first 14 games in college at LSU, you got on base 30 times. I'm not even counting the hit batsmen, so which you get hit all the time last couple of years.
Yeah,
So your first 14 games, dude, first 14 games, you're on 30 times. That's not supposed to happen. Why did that happen?
It's just how I was raised to hit. The most important thing is one to move the offense, but you can't move the offense without getting to first base, and that's how I was taught. That's how my dad taught it. No matter what the count is, who's pitching, what the situation is, to start a rally or to help the team, you get to first base. Like no matter what, and that's kind of how I take it to this day. That's how I hit. I've made some changes a little bit, but that's the basis. If anybody asks me what my plan is or approach at the plate, it's hit a ball hard and get to first base.
You mentioned, maybe some of those new faces. We saw what Coach Johnson did, dipping in that portal and bringing a lot of cool guys over to your team. And so now that means that you're building that chemistry with them. We don't often, Tre, really even talk about what goes on with your team a ton on these podcasts, almost ever. But I do feel like it's such a unique situation. And because your position is so unique that you have to build those bonds and learn the tendencies of your teammates maybe better than anybody. So how has that been adjusting to new faces and so many new players on the team?
Yeah, like I said, it's important every practice day is important, the way we walk in. That's really where you learn what people like to do. Because if we're taking like a little IO or taking some ground balls, even if they don't say it, you can like kind of watch how they move around and where they feel more comfortable kind of letting it eat or where they kind of clutch it a little bit. And then you talk about it. Like the best way to communicate is using your words. Like I talk to Tommy, I talk to Jordan, I'm like, or I say I noticed something, and I'm like, is that like true? Like, are we on the same page? And we have that relationship where it's nothing personal when you point out a weakness that you noticed or something like that. It's really a conversation, and then you build off it, and that's how you get better as a defense. Where we're at defensively right now, I'm very confident moving into the season. The way we're flowing, the way everything's going, it should be a completely new defense than what we saw last year.
Well, yeah, you guys got that number one target. So I have to ask, what are those conversations like in regards to where people see your team and where they expect your team to go? What does Coach Johnson say about that sort of accolade?
The biggest thing is we're not gonna shy away from it. We're not gonna. He's not gonna walk into a meeting and say, guys, nobody thinks we're gonna make it to Omaha or anything like that to try to fire us up. Like, no, he's not gonna sit up there and lie to us. We're not gonna shy away from being the number one team, but we're gonna work like we're the number two team. We're gonna show up every day. Every practice is the most important practice. Every day is a day to get that 1% better. And if we continue to do that, then that number one hopefully holds strong.
Tell me about your mom, Shalita. Did I say her name properly?
Yes.
Tell me everything you want to tell me about her.
Yeah, she's kind of the one I lean on a little bit when my dad was rough on me during like the workouts or everything like that. I have a little story for you. Actually, one time when I can't remember how old I was, but I just wasn't feeling it that day. Like I wasn't feeling going to the field. My dad got home from work and he was like, "Get dressed," the same routine, and I just started crying. I'm like, I don't want to do it. And my dad said, Mom said she'll come with us if you get dressed and like, let's go. And that got me going. I was like, okay, let's go. Like I got dressed, got everything, got in the car. I get in the car. I'm like, where's Mom? He's like, oh, she has to handle a couple more things, but then she'll meet us there. Get to the field. Dude, we get through the whole workout. mom didn't show up, but that shows that she was kind of like my cushion. I could lay back on my mom when I wasn't feeling it, and she'd always boost me up. Now, she'll tell me some things like that I don't want to hear from. My dad does the same thing also. Like we have that relationship to have those conversations, but it's more of when I talk to her, she'll hype me up a little bit.
That's an awesome story,
So
man.
good.
I love us parents. I love us parents and our loving deception. That comes from a place of love. It's not lying. It's loving deception. That's
Right,
exactly
right,
what it
right.
is. Hey, and she's a probation officer. Did I read that correctly?
She is, yes, sir.
Expound just a bit. That's a very unique job. It takes a strong woman to have a job like that.
Definitely. And when you think about that, you think she's kind of like the stern little voice at home, but she wasn't. She was like the one who really tells me, using her words mostly, how life is. Like she deals with people who really made the wrong decisions for whatever reason. They made the wrong decisions, and she uses that as examples for me to not make those same mistakes or to learn what if I'm ever put in a situation like that, what I could do to avoid getting to that point.
Ah, it's awesome. Hey, real quick, if I need a good attorney, do you have anyone you could recommend?
It depends on what you're looking for. I got a guy. His name's Gordon. He's he's pretty good at what he does. He's got a cool jingle too. I'm thinking about using it as my walk-up song. Get Gordon, get it done. But yeah, that's my guy.
That's awesome. I love the world of NIL. I love getting you guys. It's fun. And you know what? For all of us college baseball players a generation ago that couldn't even have a job in the library, couldn't even do anything, I'm thrilled that NIL exists, man, that you go out and earn. I'm glad you knew exactly what I was talking about. That's all I have,
As
D.
soon as I heard attorney, I was like, yeah.
By the way, it's Gordon McKernan. We want to give him love on this podcast. If he's going to partner with
Right.
you, we need to say Gordon's entire name, Gordon McKernan. Go find him online. He's recovered a lot of money for his clients, accidents, things that haven't gone their way. Gordon, look him up.
Definitely. Hey, great guy too. Great guy.
Wait, are you going to come out with some merch? Because Daron will buy your merch.
Oh, I actually do have some stretch man merch. I don't have any merch with Gordon yet. We actually need to get on that. Get some of that done. But I have it's in my bio on Instagram. It's called Stretch Man.
Stretch Man?
Yeah.
I really like
that's
that.
me. Yeah, it's like
That's so good.
it's a cool little. It's me on a little emblem. I wish I was wearing it right now. It's so cool. But it has me doing a little stretch logo, everything like that. Yeah, it's on the website 500 level in my bio.
Is that what people call you? Do they call you Stretch Man?
I'll let Dani talk. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, he's
Go
looking.
ahead.
Wait, do they call you?
Yeah, that's my nickname. Yeah, they call me Stretch Man.
Dude, that's so good. It makes me think of the Impossibles, and the suits that they wear and how they stretch out and they can go everywhere and grab everything. Oh, that's so great.
Right.
I wanted to ask a little bit because I think you and I have also talked about your hair, about your style, about who you are as a person, and you've got some extra flavor too, right? You've got that New Orleans flavor in you. Do you or have you seen the game change more into a way that allows and embraces personalities to shine in college baseball?
Yeah, definitely. And when you look around, it helps with the whole NIL opportunity because that kind of gives you an insight on our lives like outside of the sports we play. Because a lot of our fans kind of just see us playing football, baseball, basketball, and think that's our life. Like no, like we do normal stuff, and you see that by kind of like the brands you join. But I feel like another important part is people who aren't scared to be themselves on like their platform, like on their football field or baseball field. And that kind of definitely helps grow the game. Like when you see somebody playing first base with blonde hair, it's kind of like, wait, that's not like a normal thing. And I saw this one kid dress up as me for Halloween. It was awesome. It was on Twitter. It was awesome. He had some blonde hair, coming out the back of his hat, my jersey on, hat, the whole get up. I was like, that means that I'm doing something right. And I mean, I love that. It was awesome to see.
Oh my God, dude. That's freaking awesome. I'm so happy for you. And I don't have any more, Daron, but I'm glad that you exist in this space and that you take up space here. We found it.
That's it. That's it.
Very good. Very
Oh
good.
my
I love it.
gosh.
And he has the soft cotton tees, not
Oh,
the
he's
not
gonna be
the
buying.
not just the crew boxy cotton tees. It's more like the one he's wearing right now. So I'm getting one.
Right.
I'm getting one.
Perfect.
Thank you, Trey.
Of course. Thank y'all. This is awesome.
I'm excited because anytime we get to catch up with somebody that we spent a lot of time with when they were in high school, who's now excelled and also really just topped the charts as far as college baseball goes, and get to kind of come full circle, I'm always excited, Yohandy. So we catch up today, and you have, like I said, you've come so far, and I want to go back a little bit because you were the 2020 draft, and Daron and I talk about this a lot and what it means to have grown up during that time, but that was a really pivotal point for you, and you are a loyal guy. You honored your commitment to go to Miami. And so I want to know, going back, you were our All-American. What's life been like the past couple of years being at Miami and playing for that program?
I mean, obviously the 2020 was the COVID year, so it was the shortened year, shortened draft and everything. And we just obviously came together with my family, and we just thought the best decision was to come to Miami. And throughout these past 3 years, I feel like I've matured not only as a player, but as a person as well. Just being here the past 3 years with older players and growing up in this program, it just felt like home.
Yeah, what do you think you would tell yourself if you could go back and say, hey, in a couple of years, you're going to maybe gain some weight, some good weight. You're going to be a star third baseman. You're going to be fighting for Omaha. Like, what would you say to yourself, maybe to tell yourself, hey, it's going to be okay. We're going to be fine.
That I made the right decision coming here to Miami. I weighed in 185 coming in. I was skinny. Honestly, I just grown as a person and as a player throughout these past 3 years, and it's been an incredible experience.
Yeah, real quick, who are some of those people? Because you've got great support around you. I know your family, your dad, especially Dad Andy, coaching staff as well. And you're at home, which is cool, right? So you get to see your family more. But who are the people? Yeah, who are those people?
I mean, not only my family, everybody in my family gets to come out here and watch me play baseball, but the coaching staff and the players, it's been a family ever since I got here, and everybody just welcomed me in here.
Can you describe your family's journey long before you were a big, strong man from Cuba, from your perspective, from what you know?
I mean, I was born here in Miami. I have a younger sister. We were both born here, but everybody else is obviously Cuban. My dad, I don't know, 2000, 1999, around there is when he came. He had came here, obviously, give me and my family a better life here in the United States, and I'm thankful for everything that he had to go through and what he did for my family.
A lot of sacrifices. It was before you, but your older brother was just a baby, right, when that occurred?
Yeah. I don't know how old. I think he was. I'll be lying to you if I told you how old he was when he got here.
Got it. But the sacrifices.
He was young.
Yeah, and for your dad was a pretty established baseball player too, so there had to be changes there. Tell us a little bit about Dad's baseball career, the stories you've heard. Sometimes it's better to hear from others. My dad's in the Hall of Fame, so it's easy to read about him. But still, my favorite stories about my dad's career are from others. Yeah. What have you heard about your dad's career, especially from others?
I mean, everybody that I meet that's Cuban always tells me, oh, your dad was the best player over there in the Cuban national team. You don't know how good your dad was. But like me, I'm a son, I hated practicing with him. I didn't really listen to him as much when I was growing up. I've always wanted to be coached by somebody else that wasn't him, but everybody tells me, oh, he's way better than you ever are, this and that. And it's funny listening to that from other people and how great he was as a baseball player.
That's awesome. Real quick, Dani, I want to unpack that just a little bit. When I was younger, I couldn't stand practicing with him. Please tell me a story. I'd love to know, because I'm sure you're glad that you did now, but be the younger kid back then. Those are great stories.
They're rough practices. Anything bad, I mean, he'll hit fungos at me. You know, I'm there, I'm crying, running around, trying not to get hit by the ball. He's hitting fungos right at me. Like, not ground balls, like fungos just at me. And I'm there ducking, trying not to get hit. Road practices, road practices.
Yeah. What happens now with dad?
I mean, he just comes out here and supports me. Doesn't tell me anything good that I do, only the bad that I do when he's watching. He's always on me, and I'm thankful for that. He always looks out for me and wants the best for me. But right now, I have a great coaching staff here, and I listen and try to learn everything that they teach me.
Yeah, I love that. And what about the rest of your family? Introduce us to them because it takes an army.
And my mom, to be honest, my mom was the one that got me into baseball, not my dad. She was the one that, when I was younger, took me to the baseball field and wanted me to start playing baseball. So it was my mom. I'm thankful for her, everything she did for me, and growing up, she's helped me a lot.
And how about now? How does mom still support today? Because it sounds like we hear a lot, parents who want to be an extra coach sometimes, or they still don't know how to let go. It sounds like dad's been able to do that, and that's a great working relationship. What about
my
mom?
just sits in the stands and cheers for me whenever I do good, and she always gets my dad off my back, telling him not to worry about it, not to talk to him about it.
Where do you feel like Yo-Yo, your swing has grown the most in the last year? I mean, we all learn, we all evolve. And you can be, for our listeners, you're going to have some mechanical people that will understand what you're talking about because they dig this game. So be mechanical if you don't mind, and tell me where your swing has evolved and grown.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, I never really get too mechanical and worry about my swing too much. I just feel like I've grown in more discipline and plate discipline. Seeing the pitchers, laying off of pitches, and just being more observant, I guess you say, with pitches, not swinging out of the zone as much, stuff like that. Not really anything with my swing. I feel like I haven't changed my swing at all.
So the concept of pitch recognition and patience, is there a way to practice that, or does that actually just come with experience? Is there a way to kind of practice what you're talking about?
Both, yeah. We do pitch recognition a lot, actually. In the cages, off the machine, different like tennis balls, different colors and stuff like that. We train our eyes almost all the time here. So there's obviously a lot of ways you could practice doing that. And obviously playing 3 years here and growing up, obviously matured in that.
So you had a time last year, it was May 1st to May 14th. Last season, if you're going to take yourself back, get your mind in that place, and you guys played Georgia Tech, North Dakota State, Central Florida, and Florida State. Like right there in May.
I remember.
Yeah, I bet you do. You were 18 for 30. You were 18 for 30 during that stretch. I've never seen more 4- and 3-hit games clumped together in one week span. It was kind of laughable when you look at all the games that went together. What's it like to be in a tree like that? Describe the mind. Describe what it goes like, because I know you're hitters. You're odd. You're weird. You don't want to describe what you're doing. I get it. I understand that. But what's the mind like when you're thinking that kind of confidence? What does that kind of confidence feel like when you did?
Has honestly happened before. I was in a span, obviously, that I wouldn't say a slump because that's all on the mental side, but you just feel like you're seeing the ball better and just going in there that you could help your team win. That's the main part. Just going in there, doing whatever you can to help your team win is the main reason, I mean, I didn't even know I was 18 for 30 until you told me that. I don't really look at the stats that are in the past. I just play and keep playing as I go and try to win games.
Yeah, well,
I didn't know that.
So then, and yes, it was ridiculous. It was a ridiculous run. I would have hated pitching against you right then. I would have made up new arm angles and new things to try if I were dealing with you. So here's the better question then. Here's the better question now that I listened to your honesty. How do you get out? How do you flush your mind after an 0 for 5 where you're a little pissed off, to use a simple word? How do you, in the evening time, how do you flush your mind to turn the page? How do you turn the page?
I mean, if we win the game, I'm already fine with that, just winning, to be honest. But, just going into the locker room and just talking to your teammates and saying, oh, great game today, don't worry, we got your back, we picked you up today, we know you got it tomorrow. Just the support of your teammates just helps a lot.
Why do you think college will be the difference maker for you? I love that you went. I love college baseball. I love your program, but why is it the difference maker for you once you do get drafted and have a great, long, big league career?
I mean, it's helped me a lot, things that I didn't know in the past, and just growing as a person and as a baseball player here, I've learned, our motto here is get 1% better every day, and I feel like coming here, I've learned bunch of new things that I didn't know when I was younger.
Could you share some of those? Any that pop into your mind off the top of your head?
I mean, like I said before, the play discipline in third base, my angles in third base, because I was a shortstop when I was in high school, and my first couple games were terrible at third base. But with working with Coach Brew and Dom has helped me out a lot with that as well, and just a bunch of things as bunting, base running, just everything we do, we want to get better at every day, and I feel like I've matured as a player throughout the 3 years here.
What are your hopes for yourself this coming season and your team? You obviously want to go to Omaha. We know that. We know it's been a while.
Yeah, that's the goal always.
Of course. But there have to be, I would guess, some smaller goals or some goals that you're gonna be able to hit sooner than Omaha. What are those?
I mean, my goal is obviously, to hit well and do what I can to help the team.
And what does hit well mean? Tell me a little bit, because I know you are such a smart, intelligent person.
Yeah.
Like, your baseball IQ is so good. Like, tell us what hit well means for someone like you.
Hit well for me is not only getting hits, home runs, this and that. It's doing the little things. If it's moving the runner over, getting a run in, RBIs, bringing a run in, whatever I can do to help the team win is. If it's a ground ball at right field, move the runner over. Just whatever I can do to help the team win is the most important part. And our goal is not making it to Omaha, it's winning Omaha.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
All right. Fair enough. I love that. Hey, why at some point do I see Mark Anthony in your social media? Can you explain that to me?
I was at one point, it was like an advisor thing.
Very cool. Can
But-
you dance as well as Mark dances or no?
No,
Do you
no,
have
no.
that kind of game?
Sorry, not.
No? Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, well, if you can pick it at third, you can dance a little bit for your life if you can pick it at third. And a really good, authentic, look, I can go to Dani City in New York City, and I go to Cuban restaurants when I go all the time.
That's
and
the
I
best.
go to Miami, and I go to authentic Cuban restaurants. But that's not someone's home.
course.
Please describe to me your favorite Cuban meal as prepared by family members, specifically your
My
mom. What goes
great-grandma
into it?
cooks
Tell
the
me.
best.
Ooh.
No,
Tell me
no,
the
my mom's
details.
not that good. She's not like my grandparents. My grandparents are the best at cooking. I mean, it's rice, beans, plantains, and ubite, which is a steak.
Amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah, I go simple. I go ropa vieja, simple.
Ropa vieja. You get a lot of that too. Ropa vieja.
Yeah, it sounds so much better when you say it, doesn't it? I mean, you'd never know that I have this beautiful Chilean wife who speaks amazing Spanish. You'd never know it by looking at this, right? So thank you. Thank you for saying ropa vieja much better than I just said it.
Ropa vieja.
I really appreciate it.
I've
good,
just
Dee.
got one more. Your Cuban heritage, your background, what makes you you, what makes you proud to have that running through you.
I mean, just being not from here, I'll say, I see myself as an American. I was born
Yeah.
here in the United States. But to other people, just the Cuban side is like probably my dad's side and everybody. But when people ask me, yeah, I say I'm Cuban, but I see myself as an American.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Great. Yo.
But don't get me wrong, I love the Cuban
Yeah.
heritage.
No.
I'm always speaking Spanish. My parents don't know any English. I'm always speaking
Yeah.
Spanish.
No. I mean, yeah. We definitely know you are American, but you've got that rich history, especially on the
Yeah.
baseball side, especially from your dad. But
Oh, baseball for sure. Yeah, I got everything from my dad.
yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yo, thank you so much. We appreciate your time, dude.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's Perfect Game College Baseball. It's every single week a brand new streaming show focuses on college baseball. An interview show, certainly, but as we get into the college season, I want to make everyone aware of this. Vinny Servino or one of his colleagues that covers college baseball will join us every single week because we're in season. We want to know the most important stories in college baseball. But we're going to have great guests. And just like this week with co-host Hunter Pence, who hosted with Brett Dolan, who stepped in for me this week, they talked to Kirk Saarloos, the head coach of TCU. Huge expectations there. One of the great pitching coaches in the game at any level, and one of the great head coaches as well. Here's Hunter and Kirk.
The Big 12 Coach of the Year. Congratulations on your first year, but you've been grinding this for a long time. You've had tremendous amount of success in the pitching department, and I love to learn about this from someone with your resume. This is a question I've wanted to ask for a long time, but I've never really had someone with your kind of like your journey. Like, describe, because we've talked pitching philosophy, and I want to get to that on you, but can you talk a little bit about preparing as a starting pitcher versus preparing as a relief pitcher? Because you did both, and you did both really well for a long time.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, a lot of that we're dealing with right now with some of our young guys because all the high school kids were all starting pitchers. And now, some of their roles are going to be coming out of the bullpen. So how do you get your body loose? How do you get your mind ready when you don't know exactly when you're coming in? Most of those times, those guys take longer to get ready. Can they get ready quicker? So I think the guys that the more athletic they are, obviously, the easier it is for them to transition down there. A lot of times you get those big, those bigger, slower moving, maybe not as athletic guys that all of a sudden they're in the bullpen. It's like, wow, we got to figure something out for these guys because all they've been known is, okay, I'm going to take an hour to get ready. I'm going to start. Well, now it's like you're in the bullpen. It's like, buddy, we don't got an hour. Like you maybe have 5 minutes, so that's a lot of fun. But really it's the mentality portion of it. As soon as you get the physical routine down, it's the mental aspect of it. Okay, as a starting pitcher, usually you have, 6 here in college baseball, you have, 6 days between starts. So it's a slow build to it with a set routine. Out of the bullpen, it's a mentality of, okay, what's my role and when do I get mentally locked in? If you're a closer, I don't need you mentally locked in the 3rd inning. Let's get your body prepared. Let's get out there in the 5th and let's start getting in our routine then. But if you're a long reliever, we might need to watch the game and be locked in early in the game because that's your role. So that's the big thing is trying to tell these guys the difference between mental and physical in terms of how to get ready.
Kirk, I've always thought that this is like something that most casual fans, don't really understand. Is like, especially like relief pitchers. It's like, I'm chilling, I'm talking with my guys, I'm in the game. That's a mental thing, and like you gotta prep your body as an athlete. And I'm sure a lot of these guys that are used to having a whole week to prep for their start, they set their diets, they set their sleep time. So it is a whole new ballgame. Thanks for sharing that. And then I just got to get a little bit to kind of let's get like culturally philosophize the pitching in your eyes. Like, what are some keys to success as a pitching staff and as a pitcher in the college level?
Well, I think there's a lot of ways to get good hitters out. Like yourself, it was, you either have to have really good stuff. For me, it's 5 or 6 things. You either have to have just overpowering stuff. You need to have some deception. You need to be able to change speeds. You need to be able to locate and have some movement. So if you start checking off a lot of those boxes, you're going to be really successful. And at the college level, you're dealing with guys that maybe don't have pure stuff, but they have some of the other things, movement, deception, and changing speeds. I think ultimately it comes down to, can I command my fastball to both halves of the plate? And then can I throw a secondary pitch in the strike zone in a hitter's count? And then do I have a pitch that I can put somebody away with? I think if you don't have a put away pitch, well then at bats, hitters aren't scared. They're like, okay, I'll wait you out because you're not going to be able to put me away with 2 strikes anyway. So, or if you're, a 1-pitch guy, you're not going to be pitching long, as we all know. So really it's make it pretty simple, repeat your delivery and do one of those, 5 or 6 things. And the more boxes you can check, the better you're going to be.
John Edward Morgan III. Tre, there was so much more to him than that. And you teased Mom's job as a probation officer coming on the air, and I love the fact of Dad and the tough workouts. Very different than Yohandy's dad and the tough workouts. I love the story how Dad said, "Yeah, Mom's coming. She'll be coming to the workout. She'll be there in just a minute, son." And then the whole workout ends, and it's no mom. If that is A+ parenting, the second, Junior, you nailed it. I was so proud to be a parent when I heard that. Like, that is the ultimate in parenting right there. And I love that he remembers that story so vividly. But I love, my uncle spent his entire career, which is different than a probation officer, but he spent his entire career in the Department of Corrections. And I learned so much and gained some empathy, too, to both sides, whether you're in there not by choice or whether you're someone who's working and getting paid to work there. A lot of understanding through my uncle, who spent his life working in the Department of Corrections. So it's a tough job his mom has. I love that get. I love Tre. Like, really, I am going to order some of his gear. Gutsy enough, you have all these, jump man and all the different ways you can say man. He's stretch man, and I love it. I love that.
When he was telling that story, immediately in my mind, I knew you were going to love it, but I wasn't expecting it to end with Mom not coming. I thought for sure Mom was be there.
I was.
You knew, yeah. And
you know what Mom was getting to do? And I don't know what her drink of choice is, so I'm just going to fill in the blank. She probably worked a very hard day. She probably was in a quiet house with a cold beer. And that was
Yeah.
a wonderful gift from her husband. What a wonderful gift, right? So I love that story for a variety of reasons.
And I actually think too, it tells you a lot about Tre, about his family, about his work ethic too. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to go. And dad was like, we're going, mom's coming. And that's the relationship that they have. And I think that the work that this guy's put in is the work you have to put in if you want to be a pro. And what's kind of cool too is what we don't normally do on these podcasts is talk about the team. I don't know if you've noticed that, but we rarely talk about where your team is ranked, who's on your team, who the coach of your team is. We rarely do that. But this LSU team is ranked number 1. They have the target on their back this season. You know, Jay Johnson welcomes that. But the transfer portal, Tommy White, you have Dylan Cruz, the potential player of the year. You got all these parts of a recipe that could lead to one of the best teams that we ever see. Even if they don't, getting to talk to Tre about it and learn a little bit about how he's learning about his team, it's just really cool. He's a great voice for the game, and I'm so glad that we got him on.
Yeah, he was a good get, a real good get. I'm excited to watch he and Yohandy. We've known Yo-Yo, since his days as a travel ball player. I think, and please don't take this as anything more than just face value, folks. I know we live in a world where everything can be peeled back and interpreted. It's just this. He's incredibly proud of his Cuban heritage, and I think those of us that were born in the United States are always intrigued. And if you're curious and talk to young athletes, we want to know about your heritage. We want to know how that touches your life. But I love the fact that he's proud of where he lives now. I love the fact that he knows that his family sacrificed a ton, so he's also very proud of his Cuban heritage as a United States citizen. And, as someone who is in America and he's able to enjoy this game of baseball, go to Miami, where his culture is very strong, by the way. But it's a nice combination. I think we always want to take athletes to their homes and to their home countries and live with the stories from there. But I think it's like any other athletes, whether you come from Panama or whether you come from Puerto Rico or whether you come from Venezuela to play, there's also the part of it, that you're here now and this is your home. So I like that dichotomy, if that makes sense. That's not waving a flag or being anything crazy about that. I just love that he loves being American as well as Cuban.
It's cool when you get to learn about what makes up the whole pie, right? The little pieces of each person and what makes them tick, what makes them go, why are they the way that they are? That's a lot of what we do here in trying to figure that out. And I think you saw his eyes light up a couple of different times when we talked about the game, when we talked about his team and not just going to Omaha. He happily made sure I understood they're going to win at Omaha. They're going to win the College World Series. So I loved that he corrected that. But also when you asked him about his favorite Cuban food and his grandma who makes the best Cuban food. And I thought that was really cool to see that part of him, because he did say, and he made it clear, I'm American. And I'm really proud of that. And I think that that's important. He knows about his dad. He knows how good his dad was, and people have great stories about dad. And now I think it's completely Yo-Yo's time to take those next steps and be the next Morales to have success at the big league level.
Coming up on our next podcast, and I know we're chasing this quickly, Tommy Troy of Stanford could be an All-American, could be a first-round draft pick. Enrique Bradfield could be an All-American and could be the number 1 pick overall at Vanderbilt. 2 really high academic institutions, but 2 just killer baseball programs, Coach Esker, Coach Corbin. And so excited to hang with us. That's going to be the next drop. It's happening fast. We've built a lot of it already. And just, come here all the time to listen to these podcasts. Go ahead and subscribe so you find the new ones. Comment, like, do anything you want. But also come find the rest of our content. Go to Perfect Game TV. Go to your smart device, download Perfect Game TV. We're pushing ourselves to drop brand new content. All the seasons are starting. High school baseball, college softball, amateur softball. We're in on all that. So find us, live with this podcast a lot, because we're really proud of it. And we know if you're listening, you love this area of the sport. An amazing group of athletes that Dani gathered. D-Wex, well done by you from my portable studios in Reno, Nevada at this point, with my awesome curtains in the background. The 70s are alive and well. So we're glad you found this podcast. If you're seeing any of this at the end, this may be the best I've ever looked, especially the backdrop. And, just take that to heart as you go throughout your week, because if you can look as good as I, then you will be successful.
Do you want to give something away so that people subscribe? If they subscribe, maybe you'll give something away. What do you think?
How does that work? How do I know? How do I even know if they subscribe? If you subscribe, the 37th subscriber gets this Brewers jersey. The 37th subscriber gets this Brewers jersey.
You'll sign it.
I don't know how we know who the 37th is. No, I won't sign it. I don't want to devalue it. That's all. Just stop now. Stop recording and listen to something else. There are far better podcasts out there. Go listen to them now.
Bye.